So with all of the decent rest, we're back and it's time for another FPL game week. This time it's all the unlucky game week 13. Let's hope that all that bad luck doesn't come too harshly at once. But my team's not looking too great, and that's what I'm going to be bringing to you guys today is my team reveal and my transfer plans ahead of game week 13. With also the top captain pick, who I'm going to be selecting compared with our captaincy matrix, and also the top 10 predicted point scorers of this game week. So all that to come in today's video. Thank you if you are choosing to once again choose into this one. Without any further ado, let's get into things and see how my team is shaping up. So last week it wasn't a brilliant result, being that I'm currently a no Salah owner, meaning that it was a drop down from around 600k to just outside the top 1 million. So it could have probably been worse. I did have, some decent showings in my team. It was a while ago now. It's almost difficult to remember what was going on over 2 weeks ago in the world of FPL. But let's look forward and not too much at the past. How am I going to try and climb back towards my yearly target of the top 100k? Well, it's going to be with a bit of help from my goalkeeper, Sam Johnson, who is one of the few players in my team who I am rather happy with. I'm very glad that a couple of weeks ago I chose the decision to stick with him rather than moving for Areola. I'm happy with Johnston going forward, and Luton away isn't the easiest fixture in the world, I suppose. Would rather have a home game, but still, when you're looking at some of the defensive fixtures this week, Luton away is definitely one of the best ones on offer. In defence, though, is where I did make a bit of an error last week. Bringing in Lascelles and starting him ahead of Tsimikas did cost me a lot of points in the end. Trippier and Lascelles are going to be starting for me this week, though, against Chelsea at home for them. Matty Cash is also still in my side. Tottenham away is a very difficult game for Villa, but with the amount of injuries that Spurs do have right now, I could see Villa grabbing a decent number of goals, and maybe Matty Cash can kind of cast his mind back to what he was doing earlier in the season and get involved at the other end of the pitch. Maybe even grab a clean sheet in that one, but I'm not hoping for that all too well, given that I own Heung-min Son in my midfield. He's alongside Rashford, Saka, Bowen, and Mbeumo currently. So right now, all the fixtures in my team are looking pretty difficult as far as the outfielders go. The ones I'm happy with are Bukayo Saka and then Bowen if he is fit. He's got the vice-captain's armband currently right now as well. I'm really hoping he'll be able to make it into this game for West Ham, and I'm assuming that even if he's a little bit worse for wear, he'll probably be used given that Antonio's out for a significant amount of time. There's not too many other options, and Bowen will probably be playing through the middle where his data does look really good, and obviously playing out of position is very advantageous for owning him as an FPL asset. So I'm glad I went with him over someone like Matoma, who looks like might even miss out in game week 13, which would be disappointing for owners of the Brighton man. So Mbeumo is the one who a lot of people will be opting for as a replacement, I imagine, who's over on the other side of your screen. So Arsenal at home, again, pretty difficult fixture this one for Brentford, but I do think they're decent against the big sides. And a home fixture for them, maybe they could grab a goal or maybe even two against Arsenal, hit them on the counter-attack. That's where Mbeumo is at his best, in my opinion. So happy to own him, and of course the fixtures going forward look pretty nice as well. I've then got Heung-min Son and Marcus Rashford. Son, who I'm going to have to hold for this fixture against Aston Villa, and Marcus Rashford, who continues to stay in my team just due to these fixtures and me not having the balls to get rid of him when he's not got the toughest fixture, should I say. So I've held on to Rashford all too long. He might actually survive another week, surprisingly enough. But I am looking at replacements in my midfield, and if I can this week, I'll use the free transfer on Rashford. It's just whether I want to use a transfer at all, or maybe just, bite the bullet there and just accept this game week is not going to be great, have 2 free transfers in game week 14 instead. Up front is where, again, we've got the 2 Man City forwards, but a difficult fixture against Liverpool at home. There are other options I'm looking for Alvarez's replacements. Could go even moving for Watkins now. I like the look of Awanai as well, and Nottingham Forest is a forward that I've been eyeing up. But overall, I don't think there's too much upside over owning Alvarez, despite how disappointing he has been for me in recent game weeks. And then finally, down on the bench for my team currently, got Tsimikas, Kabore, and Mubama. So happy owning Tsimikas going forward. It was encouraging, albeit points on the bench last week. Hopefully some of you guys watching were sensible enough to start him and not make a transfer so that you didn't have to start him in game week 13. But yeah, that was Lascelles who came in for me. Botman is looking like he might avoid surgery, so he could be back in some kind of near-distant future. For now, though, looks like Lascelles is going to hold down that place, and that's ultimately what I brought him in for over the likes of Livramento and Hall, are those assured minutes. So you never know, Livramento may become a nailed-on option, but I'm happy with my decision as of right now as to going for Lascelles over the other Newcastle defenders, albeit a pretty rubbish decision in general to not just start Tsimikas last game week. But yeah, one free transfer, not too much of an idea what to use it on, in all true honesty. Rashford out to a different midfield option will probably be the thing I'm most strongly looking at. Could also change defender, of course, although I'm quite happy with Trippier, Lascelles, Cash, and Tsimikas as a 4 moving forward. Alvarez up front, as I mentioned, there's some other strikers I'm looking at. But right now, the main decision for me is going to be who to put the captain's armband on this week. As you can see, it's currently on Erling Haaland, but who does the captaincy matrix predict is going to be the best scoring captain for Game Week 13? And we've gone with the 4 captaincy options this week. Haaland and Bowen, of course, because there's a bit of injury uncertainty surrounding these two, whether they're going to be fit or not. I imagine if Haaland is fit, then he will be the most captained option out of these 4 that you can see on screen. But Salah and Son are very interesting to have in as alternatives for if we get news that, say, Haaland and Bowen both aren't going to be playing, then opting for one of these 2 will probably be the way to go. But how do they weigh up anyway? Well, it's hard to compare using the Fantasy Football Fix predicted points tool right now because it does take into account these injuries and these flags. So Haaland's only down at 3.2 and Bowen is at 2.5 for predicted points. So behind Salah, who's on 4.6, and Son, who, as you can see, is on 5.8. So if you want to keep up to date with how these points change, which will happen if these players become unflagged later in the week, then you want to head over to Fantasy Football Fix. You can do that via the link in the description, of course. In terms of the fixtures, Liverpool and Man City going up against each other, you kind of have to back City and that one being the home side. But I could definitely see Liverpool grabbing a goal or 2. And when they do score goals, you know who is most likely to be involved. It's, of course, the Egyptian king himself. But Burnley is the nicest fixture on paper, and that's why people are looking at Jarrod Bowen as an option. If he is fit, then he could be a very, very nice week to go away from Haaland or Salah, indeed, to opt for a player from a team who we wouldn't usually captain an option from. So 1.84 expected goals conceded for them so far this season, Burnley. Liverpool 1.37, so not too far behind. They're kind of very similar range to Aston Villa as well as a defensive unit. And then finally Man City, who are the strongest defence of the bunch, indicating Salah might not be quite the best, strongest option this week, despite his XG as an individual and, well, in fact, his expected FPL points as a player and Liverpool as a side being the strongest out of the bunch that you can see on screen here. So who are you guys captaining? Let me know down below in the comments. Personally, right now, I'm opting for what you saw in my team. So Haaland with the main captaincy, Bowen with the vice. That is a bit of a risk. I don't tend to like to put my vice captaincy on someone as unreliable, or not uncertain, I should say, as Bowen with his injury, given that Haaland himself is another player who is flagged. So I may well move the vice captaincy across to Salah, or not Salah, I don't have him in my team, Son, I should say, if that, lo and behold, Haaland is still we don't know whether Haaland's going to start come the weekend, is what I was trying to say, if I can remember English. But yeah, so Haaland is my main captain. Tempted to switch that to Bowen a little bit. Depends how brave I'm feeling nearer the weekend. I have got a rank that's not looking too great right now, so you could say that there's scope for gaining ground, but there's also scope to get even worse. And I'm not looking at Haaland as someone who I want to back against in a week where he's very, very highly captained, which I imagine he probably will be if we do get the news and reinforcement that he is available for this game against Liverpool, which is looking more and more likely. But in terms of looking at other assets, let's have a look at the top 10 predicted point scorers for Game Week 13. And we have got some of these captains options in here. So Son right now is currently at the top. As mentioned, subject to change, barring injury flags and all that stuff. Solanke, 6.4 million, 4.8 predicted points. Another one I'm looking at as a potential forward option to replace Alvarez. Let me know if maybe you would make that move this game week. Salah on 4.7. Leno also tied with him on 4.7. Often we see those two tied for predicted points. And then Foden on 4.6 as well. Lucas Paqueta of West Ham makes it in, although I do prefer Kudus as an option, probably. Saka then on 4.5. Trippier on 4.3 is nice to see from my point of view, with Thomas Soucek and Mbomo tied on 4.2 apiece. So those are the players that the algorithm has predicted currently to score the highest amount of points in this game week. Let me know what you guys are doing with your transfer plans, and as always, if you've got any questions or queries regarding your own FPL team, then feel free to drop those down below in the comments. I'll try and get there and help as many of you out as I can. Make sure to tune in to Eddie versus the algorithm tomorrow, of course. We'll be bringing the new and updated episode for you in that one on Thursday. But yeah, other than that, I wish you a very happy rest of your day. And if I don't see you before next game week because you are an idiot and don't choose to tune into Eddie versus the algorithm, then I'll still wish you the best of luck for this game week. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you did enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye.